Because it's 8. I think I just went live with our old stuff. Apologies, everybody. Hey, everybody, welcome to... Oh, wait for it. Wait for it. Hey, everybody, welcome to Hear Us Out. You just probably, if you were watching live waiting for us to show up, got to see a sneak peek of stuff you weren't supposed to, because I accidentally forgot the 30-second rule there. Hey, everybody, welcome to Hear Us Out. I'm Patrick.
And I'm Paul.
And we'll get better at this again next year. We're just a little bit rusty. Or I'm a little bit rusty. Sorry. Bit of wrong clicking there, Paul. Can you confirm, somebody out there in the comments, that you can hear us? And maybe just not mention anything about hearing the stuff at the very start?
And also, I can hear us.
As long as you can see or hear us, then we're good. We're good. Paul, tell the folks at home what we're doing tonight for our first video of 2021.
Yeah,
the year where everything's going to be great.
Yeah, hopefully. So 2021, which is we're going to crack off this year with some of our yearly predictions. Last year, throughout the year, me and Patrick would essentially make some some slight predictions of what's going to come down the next couple of months and stuff like that. And luckily, Patrick was right a lot of more times than I was.
Oh God, no.
So we decided that maybe in the start of the year we'll give a predictions kind of thing, like of the big events maybe throughout the year, and then at the end of the year we'll probably review this and see how right and wrong we were. You know,
or another way of putting it, how dumb luck can shine upon us, because it's funny. A lot of the stuff that we've accidentally predicted, let's say, and it really is accidentally predicted. It's kind of obvious in hindsight. We were just talking and thinking, and we'd be like, oh, maybe this will happen or maybe that'll happen. One of the funny ones that we mentioned in one of our Christmas shows was we had a whole video called Marvel Should Slow Down, and then the entire world changed and they had to. So I don't know if we can take complete credit for that one, but we're gonna, because it's
I'm going to take 50-50.
Yeah,
50-50.
Why not? So Paul, I think the obvious big thing this year is going to be who do you think's going to do well this year? Because I know we both quickly shared a list with each other so that we could have some prep done for this. We are going to be surprising each other, though. We're trying to keep these live streams fresh. But I think we both picked something out as somebody who's going to, shall we say, go from strength to strength this year.
Yeah, so it's Disney Plus is going to probably show its kind of chops. It had massive growth in last year. As he said, we predicted March that it would if it didn't pull out something kind of fancy and stuff like that, it probably wouldn't have as much growth as it did. But then COVID kind of happened and locked everybody out, unless Disney had something to do with COVID. Conspiracy theories.
Was it a mouse or a bat?
So Disney has been moving strength to strength, and we had a conversation a little bit about what possibly could Disney do with its new Fox and more adult content and everything like that. And more than likely, they were going to bring something on board. They announced it recently that they're going to open a new channel, which is going to be kind of their more adult content and stuff like that, called Star.
Which, luckily for us, from a predictions point of view, is something that, and this I can claim this one because it was on tape in one of our episodes way back going, when we were talking about Disney Plus at first, talking about mature content. And I was like, they're going to have to find somewhere. They're going to have to add a parental controlled area. And that was mostly because of what they bought from Fox. Because let's face it, Disney can't own Fox and not use all that content. Now, I think the funny thing about Disney Plus Star, because it's, for anybody out there who doesn't have Disney Plus currently, when you go into it, has Marvel, Lucasfilm, I guess,
which is Marvel, Star Wars, Pixel, that kind of thing.
Yeah, Pixar. And National Geographic is another tile. Well, they're adding a new tile called Star, which I think wasn't the greatest a name, because when you say Disney Plus Star, it sounds like you're saying, Disney Plus exclamation. It's another symbol. It's a bit weird. Don't use a word that's a symbol, would have been my hint to them. But it's going to be where us us lowly Europeans and Canadians get what people are already able to get through Hulu in North America. So I'm kind of excited. It's what they should have done, if you know what I mean. Like I think it's the right thing to do, and it is going to force us all to either agree or disagree to mature content. One of the reasons I wanted to talk about this, Paul, before I had it in my notes, before I saw yours, was simply because they mentioned they're going to show, and I have a little picture all lined up. They were going to show the Wolverine on Disney Plus, which I think they have already put up, and it felt like a little test case because Wolverine is it's one of the more hardcore, in the respect that those movies are in any way hardcore. If you're doing all the X-Men and all that kind of movies and taking Deadpool out of it, I'd say Wolverine was the harshest that isn't Logan, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that was a really kind of a little toe in the water of how quickly will people freak out? Will people start saying you can't have this sort of content on our service? Nobody freaked out, and they're like, cool, we're definitely still going ahead with Star. I think looking back, I can see them testing the water with certain things they were adding in the last kind of 3 months, let's say.
Yeah, I get you in the sense it's a good way of doing this in the sense that if mothers and parents kind of like start shouting their kind of objections to it,
Yeah.
and they can kind of go, okay, well, we'll have to segregate it even further than just having it as a tile, because I think the whole thing is that it won't, unless you have, like, if you have parent control off, I still don't think that any of the content is going to show up in your kind of like feed.
Okay.
Essentially, I think you actually have to go to the tile star to actually, or search specifically for content from it.
That makes sense too. That does make sense.
Yeah. It just means that if you're careless and you don't put on parental controls, kids might not be able to see, or kids won't see it immediately.
Yeah, and look, from people I know with kids that use streaming services already, they're like, look, you don't have to worry too much on Netflix. They're going to go to the stuff that, we've already picked out, or that, we know they're going to watch Paw Patrol. So if we're leaving them alone for 5 minutes, we're not too worried that they're going to go and click on, the most hardcore alien movie they can find. They're probably going to default to Paw Patrol anyway. Big up Paw Patrol. So I think it's going to be a big shift or a big boost for Disney Plus for all of us non-North American or non-US residents. I shouldn't say North America because it's going to be Star in Canada as well. And as far as in South America, Paul, you've probably got better data than me. But I think it's going to be cool for us.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think the two things that we have to look forward to is the fact that it's going to bring in a lot more people into it, because there are probably people that are still on the fence about Disney Plus simply because they might not care about some of the more kind of child stuff, kind of thing. So it's going to bring in more users, which is going to grow them faster, but it's also the level of, I guess, it depends on what, like, is Hulu going to go, just they're never going to bring Hulu out towards the European kind of, or the markets in which you can't have, or is it that I think Hulu will start disappearing.
I was about to say the same thing. I don't see Hulu growing. I see Hulu slowly shrinking and being enveloped into the mothership. And particularly as a way to, because that they're going to bump up the Disney Plus price, but they're essentially going to double the amount of content it has here. So that makes sense. In a few years' time, when they've increased Disney Plus's price a few times, they're going to want to repackage in the US as well and have a reason to add the extra $2. So it's like Hulu's gone, but you now get Disney Plus Star. They'll have whatever was Hulu on it, and they'll sprinkle on a little bit extra just to, smoke and mirrors. Never look at the hands. What did they do in the switcheroo with? I would be a terrible magician. Never look at the hands. That's a terrible magician thing to say. Please don't look at my hands. I'm up to something.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think it's going to be an interesting year for Disney, particularly because they have already. Well, we talked about this last year. In their first 3 months, they beat their 3-year projections. So The only way is up, but you know yourself, corporations, greed is not exactly something that they fear. They're like, yeah, so we did better than we thought. Now we need to do even better than that again. So I don't see them getting any less hungry, and I wouldn't be surprised if they try out a few more things even past Star.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see how they can expand this kind of their tile system, I guess, with channels. So
So can I kind of pivot to one of my predictions then?
yeah, go for it.
Because it's to do with streaming, and it's to do with the obviously the big boys like Disney Plus and Netflix. I actually think now I just want a little shout out. We gained Quibi last year as a streaming service for mobile, and we lost Quibi last year
Yeah.
as a mobile streaming service. One of my predictions is, and I'm going to give it in two parts so that one half could maybe be luckily right. I think there'll be some either conglomeration or maybe even a streaming service that shuts down or sucks more content into it. I think there'll be streaming services like Peacock, which already has the Universal movies. Let's say HBO Max has all the Warner Media and DC properties. Disney Plus obviously has everything else. But you've got Legendary and a bunch of people who are making deals with Netflix. I can see the Peacocks of this world maybe moving in to try and make deals to. I think people are going to be taking the fight to Netflix. And I think because of that, and here comes my prediction, I think Netflix are going to do what they always do. They're going to be the first to try something different. And there's something different. This is the one that I hadn't told you, Paul, because I texted Paul and said I've kept one in reserve to see how he reacts. What do you think about Netflix trying to have a TV schedule channel or option? There are so many streaming services now. I'm starting to see a need, or at least a desire, or hear a desire from people to go. Sometimes I don't even go to the streaming service. I still have, cable or terrestrial TV. I just want to go to something and it's going to pick it for me and it'll be on at 8 or it'll be on in 10 minutes. I think Netflix might start. They're already trying those watch parties. This is all happening at 8. Why don't you watch along? I can see another option showing up on Netflix going, do you want to pick Tom, Jane, Harry, Nelson? Do you want to watch one of their channels because they're like you and this is what they've got lined up for the next day, and a little TV schedule so you can start being vicariously watching TV Netflix style.
So yeah, so like Twitch, or is it like Twitch or YouTube, but it's scheduled a little bit more, and it's up to a newer standard kind of thing of Netflix kind of standard.
Yes, yeah.
So
Think of it
like
like regular TV. Like you actually
yeah,
have, Midsommar is starting at 8, and right now you can watch. If you want to jump into Ned's channel, Ned is watching an episode of Stranger Things, and after that, Ned's going to be watching Promethean or whatever. And that idea that you'll be like, right, I'm actually going to surf channels on Netflix. So they might use personas, they might use groupings, they might do anything. But I think they're smarter than I am. I think they might come up with a few things, focus test it, and next thing you know, we'll find people watching streaming where they don't have to choose or go down that Netflix wormhole of, I've just chosen 7 different things, but I'm going to keep scrolling and go, maybe the next one, maybe the next one.
well that's interesting because they've just I found on the apps, so on PlayStation 4 and stuff like that, they've just started a random button.
Aha.
So like they're already going down the age of kind of like some like the probably it's probably is the biggest complaint that they have is that there's too much stuff and they don't like I keep going to Netflix and I just don't know what to watch kind of thing. And this TV scheduling idea is because it's probably the one reason why I still have kind of like TV is because it's like I go on and there's just this bunch of stuff on at that time, and like I'm just like, oh, Friends are on in half an hour.
Yep.
Cool, I'll watch Friends in half an hour, kind of thing. Whereas I go to Netflix and I'm just like I have binged. I think it's binging fatigue
Yeah.
in a sense,
I think you're
and
right.
like it's the biggest complaint that they probably have is and so that's a really good. It's a really good, interesting enough. You're saying that you saved this. I in my list that I sent you, I think I said that Netflix would try something new, and I think it was just like it was a product thing.
Might spread
Um,
their wing into other products. Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
so it's like it's something along the same lines,
there
but
you go.
something a little bit different. I think depending because I think you might see that they might go into some like the Comcast or something, like little devices in which you could just watch Netflix on,
Hmm?
or something like this is a prediction of them spreading their wings outside of just the online streaming content stuff. Like it could be
They might try and
anything.
get in on live. They might try and get in on live and not through sport. They might try and get in on live through literally live streams, popular podcasts.
Hmm.
Joe Rogan's proved that there's a lot of money in signing podcast deals.
Hmm.
Next, Netflix could turn that into watch it recorded, but also we have this as live stream. See who's podcasting on the Netflix comedy live stream channel right now. They could try a
Yeah.
lot of things. The reason I think they'll be the ones to try it rather than Disney or HBO or even Amazon Prime is not because I don't think those companies are smart enough or brave enough. Disney has a lot going on. Disney's not going to be able to distract from what they've got going on. Amazon, they have a different business model altogether, and they're already doing live sport and things like that. And HBO, let's face it, they've got to build the brand and steady that ship before they can start taking the fight with crazy maneuvers.
Yeah, like I agree there. I think that, yeah, Disney needs to consolidate its new content kind of grouping that it won't be thinking of any kind of new product kind of line thing anytime new programming or anything down the line. Like so that because I think now and HBO are still trying to drive towards the center of everything. So because right now it's Disney and Netflix.
Yeah,
Like HBO is driving there as much as they can, but I don't think HBO is going to be the one to, as you said, I don't think HBO is going to. I don't think it's in their wheelhouse in kind of sense of going to a live kind of streaming thing since they've already done that before. It's just not online kind of
yeah.
thing. So yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'd be interested. It'll be interesting. I
And
wonder.
sorry, you go for
Go
it.
ahead. I think it's just going to be interesting if they do go for a physical kind of product. It'll be just an interesting kind of pivot as well because they could do it as well.
That's true.
Um,
That's
I
true,
do think they
actually.
might.
Which would be the reverse of like Apple TV, where they have their hardware and now they're launching their streaming service. It would be interesting. Netflix went the other way. My guess is so. I'll tell you what. To keep the prediction nice and vague, when we're looking back this year from now, I predict Netflix will try something funky. So does Paul. Something funky could be a lot of things. We're guaranteed to be right. Um,
That's true.
just one last thing on that. A little note to Amazon Prime Video. You could win. You could win everything. Your content is brilliant. I find myself absolutely loving Amazon Prime Video since I got onto it. And yeah, the same thing you said to me the very first time I asked you about it after you had it. If they'd fixed their interface or put just a
Yeah.
little bit of effort into their user experience, we wouldn't be talking about Netflix or Disney Plus because their content is there. The search and the moving around and any sort of interaction with it is rubbish.
Yeah, it's an interesting with Amazon Prime. Just like we'll move on to the next one in a second. It's just Amazon Prime. Yeah, their user face is terrible, but they've also taken the interest of kind of like what Netflix eventually did, which is start making their own content really good.
Mm,
Amazon has kind of gone onto the other side of that, which is we're just going to make our content and everything else like is going to be secondary.
mm.
So like, because like I'm seeing things that I'm seeing on Netflix and a couple of others, and I'm just like on Amazon Prime, and I'm just like, I'm guessing that they just got a deal and it was spread out kind of thing. Like it was just like, yeah, Dread is because Dread is just on Netflix now, but they were just like, oh, Dread is open for several different streaming services. Oh, we'll grab it too. But Expanse and The Boys and like kind of a row and a couple of other they're like Jack Reacher actually the dude or not Jack Reacher
Jack
Jack
Ryan.
Ryan
Oh, you're
it's a
into it. Oh,
fantastic
good.
show like
We were like 2 seconds into that. Literally, it was a case of will we watch that, and we clicked, and then somebody rang the doorbell or a cat did something crazy and stopped and never went back. That was just before Christmas. So I'm glad you mentioned it because it was literally even clicked on and didn't get watched. So I've got to go and complete
It's
that
a good
click.
show.
Oh, good, good.
So,
Um,
but yeah. So honestly, what's your because
Can
kind of
I
that was a
can
group
I
one.
just throw us over to the comments for one section because we have a
Oh yeah, go
second
for it.
because we have a lovely comment asking or saying Disney is traditionally known for the kiddie content. Wonder how this will work. Yeah, I think that was our big concern for them originally. But there's no way once you've seen Disney Plus with all the kiddie content, there's no way that streaming service was going to survive and compete with the likes of Netflix without going um, like their Pixar movies. Why are their Pixar movies so successful, some versus some others? If they make it too kiddie without enough nods and winks to the adults or enough to engage adults, they're not as successful a movie. And that would be the same with the streaming service. But yeah, I think it was. I'd say that was one boardroom moment of look, whatever we do, let's not ever have ourselves on the front page of a newspaper with a child crying in front of The Exorcist on Disney Plus. Just whatever we do,
Yeah,
don't let that happen.
yeah, yeah, that's agreed because like it's just with it's because yeah, it's a complete interesting thing. It's essentially a child friendly magical world thing is now pivoting towards like more adult content, and it's just like this is a dangerous game for you guys,
Yeah,
where it's like
Deadpool has a home now.
yeah, so
Also, Paul, if Event Horizon showed up on the home screen for Disney Plus, I think that would be the end of them. So yeah, I can see why they'd be
yeah,
careful.
yeah, like that's I think yeah, as I said, I think that none of the content from Star will ever show up on your front kind of things.
Yeah, I was just
So
getting the inevitable this year, kicking it off nice and early, getting the Event Horizon reference in, and before the show's
first of all,
over, Taika Waititi will also get mentioned. Boom, did it.
like, and also talking about things that get out early and stuff like that. By the way, if you're watching now, you should like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell to get more of our stuff. And which this year is going to be a real fun year for us and stuff. So I think it's really important that you get in now and everything like that of subscribing. We're at this point we are near to 160. We would love to get that up to 1 million.
Yeah, I was going to say
Like
don't aim too high, but don't aim too low, and I think a million is fair.
you know. But
Um,
yeah,
yeah,
thanks for subscribing as well. Anyway, if you're already subscribed, and thanks for always being in our live chats as well.
that was some professional YouTube whoring there, Paul. Nice, I'm loving it. Yeah,
I
and
took a seminar while over the holidays.
this year, we're going to try and just have more fun in every live. So if anybody's worried about language, it might be getting a wee bit more tasty this year. We've been pretty good at trying during the live to not say anything too bad.
Have we been? Oh, wait,
In
you
general,
have been.
no, come on.
I,
In
pa-
person, folks, swear like sailors, the two of us. This is actually us on our best behavior.
I yeah, but I was Patrick's best behavior is so much better than mine because like there's been several times where I've sworn and I've just gone, oh, I shouldn't have said that, and I can also see there's a twinkle of little disappointment, and I'm just like,
No, never disappointment. Ah, God, no. More
like
just shit. He got in there with that first.
swear box. I like that. Brew just said swear
Oh,
box,
swear box. Come on, Brew.
and Amazon do love a true story film. They do, yeah, but they do like their own content, or which is great. So
Also, God damn it, Brew, you're better than we are at remembering our own slogans. Because what Paul just did there was ask you to tickle the analytics. Paul, I noticed you looked over that comment. It's here. It's in 2021. It's alive. Ah, come on, Brew. Tickle those damn
is there?
analytics, people.
I don't see that.
Yeah,
Is
of
there
course you don't.
comments?
On to your next prediction, Paul. Give me a prediction for this year.
Which is yeah. So well, with the interesting kind of thing is that with COVID being a kind of a like COVID so last year
Yeah.
kind of story, no, it's really not. Which goes, but with the kind of happiness of having which could some which goes light at the end of the tunnel, or kind of like things that the new bright horizon with the vaccine and everything like that. I predict that cinemas will start reopening in areas in which they haven't been able to open for prolonged amounts of time, which is going to be hopefully great sense because, as I said, we've said it's plenty of time. Heroes is a channel of cinema lovers, like kind of so like it'll be great to see it. So, but this prediction is for the probably to the later half of this year, which goes as the vaccine gets more and more kind of widespread kind of dispersal. So, which could, but yeah, I really believe that the cinema will come back, and I believe there will be a surge back to it as well because it's been closed for so long and everything. So I'm really looking forward. I'm really looking forward to this prediction being right. This is if I was to have like a golden coin to put onto this one, this one would be the one that I put on it.
I don't know if I can say that it's a prediction that I would necessarily share, but it's an aspiration I would. It's one that I definitely, I of all the things, you're right. This is the one I hope you're right about. When cinemas are, and I'm going to say when the world opens back up again and cinemas are hopefully able to reclaim what some of what they previously had. It'll be a different world, yes, but let's hope that there's a groundswell of support to allow cinemas to transition to whatever that's going to be. Because yeah, Paul's not wrong. We're crazy about actual cinema, including physical buildings of cinema. So yeah, I would hate to see more of them be turned into mattress warehouses and all that kind of stuff, which is always really depressing when you see an old cinema with like Pet World written outside it. Not that I don't love you, Pet World, but I saw Star Wars there, so it's not where I want to buy my cat food.
Like that's like I still think that the ongoing dual releases will happen, but I believe in areas in which we haven't been able to see cinema for quite a long time, we'll be welcoming them back. So,
And you had, I think, something in your notes about the kind of the home release model. You had a prediction for how things were maybe not going to go as planned there, thanks to one wonder of woman.
yeah. So, this is the interesting kind of thing. Like I got to see Wonder Woman,
So did I.
which goes. We might be do a later thing on
Well,
us or
well, we
something. But
actually I didn't even know you'd seen it. Can we get it out of the way really quickly, whether or not you liked it or not? Because I think it was unbelievably flawed and not very good.
see, this is the thing is, I thought that it was a good film, but it had a load of flaws as well. In the sense of, I think it may not have lived up. I think this is the thing is, I think Wonder Woman was such a surprise good film that we overlooked a lot of the flaws in the thing kind of thing because I think we were waiting for DC to finally break its mold of subpar movies, and we got Wonder Woman, which was like such a shining beacon. That I think I think that we put it up at such a pedestal that this one didn't really overly have a chance, kind of thing. Because I think this is going back to normality
You're
of DC.
you're being kind. It was okay. They may have overperformed as DC goes, but gosh, I yeah, we're not going to do our Wonder Woman thing now. But let's just say it this way, Paul. I tried, and I really tried to come up with things that weren't a mess about it. And I came up with one scene pretty much that was all of 10 seconds long. And I was like, there you go. They did that well. Yeah, I'm not going to say it's the worst film ever made or any kind of silly garbage that people are running around saying about it. It's not that bad. But boy, is it a mess. I don't know why. If it makes more money than Shazam, I'll be annoyed. Let me put it that way.
I get your points.
Yeah.
But
Anyway, your point with Wonder Woman was it was the big Christmas experiment. Christmas Day,
yes,
out she comes on your HBO at home and also cinema.
yes. So this is the interesting experiment. So I don't know how well. I see. This is the thing is because it wasn't like a massive success. In the sense of like a lot of people signed up for HBO Max and stuff like for the company it was a very good thing, but for the movie it wasn't. And like I think that you will find this fear of having them release at home as part of a subscription fee kind of thing um will kind of dampen it, as in dampen the home release thing, because it won't make them as much money and people will be more cautious. people are more cautious about what they watch at home than what they watch in the cinema. Like, as in, it's an event of going to the cinema, as we said before, but it's an event to go pick a movie that you want to see and stuff like that, and maybe have, if it's a terrible film, it's the event and a terrible film, so it's kind of like it's still something to talk about and everything like that. If you watch it at home and it's a terrible movie, it feels worse. It
I
feels like you've wasted 2 hours, like that you could have watched something else.
You didn't
Whereas
even
when you
get
go
your
to
night out of it.
yeah, that's my theory to it. My psychological kind of theory to it is that
Oh,
because it's at home, it feels more of a waste of time than if you went to the cinema.
okay.
You know?
So your kind of your prediction off the back of this is that the studios are going to really be reconsidering, or at least considering heavily, that kind of home release effort that they've made. I think there might be a bit of
Yeah,
pullback.
I think that they'll start being. I think first of all they'll try to get rid of the backlog of kind of maybe stuff that they've been holding back on because it's meant to have been released in 2020, and they're kind of looking for ways of getting kind of it out there
Yeah.
so that they can get some kind of financial kind of like payback from it. But once that's done, I think that they're going to be a lot more selective of what they release from home. Like, I feel like it's going to be like their whole like, once you can see it in the cinema, you can also see it on HBO Max. I think that slogan will go
Yeah.
quite. I think it'll be just like, no, we're doing selected stuff,
Uh,
kind of thing.
do you know what? I'm gonna be brave, and I'm gonna tie myself to that prediction too, Paul. So if you get a battering on that one at the end of this year, I'll be right there with you. Um,
I got two. I think I got two predictions that might be far out of the,
realms of,
might
of
be a little bit.
reality.
Like, I think they're a little bit more optimistic kind of things.
Oh.
So,
Well, can I use Wonder Woman to segue just really
oh
quick
yeah.
to Black Widow? Because Black Widow's
Hmm.
coming out. Hey, everybody, they're actually going to release Black Widow eventually. At least that's what we think right now. But I think when it comes out, it's. Now, I don't. This is not me saying it's going to be bad, folks. I think it won't be well received. And not in the way that Wonder Woman 84 has not been well received because it's a bit of a mess. Um, I think it won't be well received because people will. They're out of the groove. You go running every day, you get into your groove of running, but then you stop for 2 weeks. Your first run back is a little bit stiff. You can't get your stride. I think Black Widow is going to come back in after a prolonged PR campaign, after all sorts of stuff, after what everything that's happened in this darkest timeline that we've been in, particularly in 2020. I think people are not going to be warmed up to be back in the Marvel mold. So it's going to feel jarring to them. And it may even remind people that, oh, yeah, that was the way it was. Yeah. And not everybody wants the most recent was. Nostalgia usually isn't for 2 years ago, it's for 10 years ago, or 20 years ago, or 30 years ago. So I think there could be a few things that Black Widow suffers from there. And I think it's not going to help that the last kind of big movie before the whole lockdowns that was to do with kind of comic properties was the Joker. And the Joker is as far away from the Marvel formula as you can get. So I don't know. I think even if Black Widow is a really good movie, I think it might get unfairly or ill received by just the general public because they won't be in that mindset again. So there you go,
I,
Paul. Pull that one apart for me. I'm also sorry about the visuals, folks. I completely forgot that the mouse is on my side, and I have it here in my hand, and there's Black Widow on screen. Wonder Woman was up the entire time I was talking. Apologies, guys.
and yeah, I get your point in the sense that it's going to be it's the same way that we when we judged Iron Man when it first came out. If it's not up to the standard of kind of Iron Man, then this is going to be it's going to be a hard one to come back to because, like, as I said, like, as you said, it's also situated in the middle of a load of other stuff. Um,
Yeah,
because it's set in between winter.
it's
Where's
after
it set in
Winter
between?
Soldier. No, it's just before Winter Soldier. Actually, I'm not even sure anymore because it's been so long since I saw the first trailers and stuff. But yeah, it's going to be elsewhere in the timeline than right now.
Yeah, so it's going to be a little confusing, and they're going to probably call back to the moments in which it's between.
Mm.
So like anything that's happened, they're going to be like, "Yeah, remember that," and we're all going to be like, "No, don't remember that,"
And
kind of thing.
for anybody out there, and I don't know, I'm checking the comments just in case anybody said it. And Nora says also they've been advertising these movies for so long, people are sick of hearing about them. Not sure they'll get the enthusiasm that they once would have. It's a very good point. But you know, before anybody does get to write it in, people's tastes have changed since lockdown. That's also true. The Disney Plus shows aren't going to help because everybody's like, but you see, you're going to have WandaVision, you're going to have Loki, and you're going to have all sorts of Disney Plus. That's going to get them back into the MCU mode. Disney Plus shows are not going to be the MCU movie style. They're going to maintain some of it. It's not going to be the same experience. It's not going to be like having watched 3 Marvel movies prior to it, you know, in the run up to it. In fact, 3, God, what am I saying, 22, 26 maybe in a row that people were watching. So yeah, I don't think there's anything that's going to prepare to break the ice. And I think the Marvel formula will work again. And I think people will warm back up to it. I hate to say it, but much as you really pointed out, Ant-Man got kind of hammered because of just the time it came along. I think Black Widow might be that can't catch a break. You know, the unlucky penny. No matter what happens, that character's solo film maybe just isn't destined for greatness.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think there's a convergence of a lot of kind of like aspects here that's running. So it could be though that all these things converging to make it possibly like everyone's kind of, as you said, that everyone's not as enthusiastic right now. We have been saturated with the amount of advertisement, but no payoff kind of thing. We are out of the loop a little bit. That this could turn out that it's actually like a great film.
Mm.
I agree that
My
there's a big
prediction is just
possibility.
that it won't be well received. I actually don't think it'll be a bad movie. I think that people will put too much weight on its shoulders in some cases, or just not be in the groove for it, and there will be a lot of, oh, that wasn't worth waiting for, or whatever, you know.
Yeah, like yeah, but I think my counter point to it is that it'll be a welcomed back kind of like old friends thing is a possibility, kind of thing. Like I hope it
Comfort and
is
familiarity. I get you. Yeah, that's a good
yeah,
point.
like but there's so much right now that is converging to kind of get it put down,
Well,
and it's such a pity.
I'm hopeful. As in, I'm plugging for it. I hope it goes well. That would be my hope.
Hmm. Yeah, 100% agree. Like it's a character that definitely deserves a really good kick up.
Yeah,
So.
and a final moment, so to say. Not that anything happened to Black Widow for those of you that are not up to speed with all of the Avengers movies. She dies. I want to pivot into my other related prediction really, really quickly. The other person you can see on screen beside Black Widow, that actress is Florence Pugh. You will know her even if you don't know her name, because from one of the very first things, the first tweet I think I ever sent, which was about fighting with my family, Florence Pugh was destined to be a star, and her career was on a rocket trajectory from Little Women and everything else. She was absolutely flying. Midsommar, she was in breakout hits, she was in planned hits, she was making it into the MCU. My prediction is her career is not going to stall and disappear. 2021 is going to need a breakout star, and I actually think her second part of her big trajectory will probably be seen as the breakout star. She'll have a Marvel movie and other things in the works. I can see her making this kind of next 12 to 18 months be the Florence Pugh kind of like Timothy Chalamet went from being somebody who's nobody knew his name to now people know his name. I think she'll have that kind of year.
That makes sense. Like she's a really good actor. Like I really liked her in Fighting with the Family. Like she's really good.
Everything she's
And
been in, she's great.
I haven't seen. I have Little Women. Currently it's that sounded really strange. I have the movie, which
Oh, where
goes
do you keep them, Paul? No,
um
moving swiftly.
Like I have it on Now TV, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a look at it as soon as possible because I'm really interested to see before I see Dune. I'm really interested in seeing the man from that from the woman.
So, knock me up one of your next ones there, Paul.
So I'm gonna go. So I think my last one, or sorry, I have. I think I have one that will connect into yours. So I'll do the other one for now,
Okay.
which goes. So streaming. Streaming has become a massive thing. We are an entertainment industry or an entertainment kind of news or entertainment commentary kind of channel and information. So I think it's wrong of us to say that like or to not mention that Twitch and YouTube kind of streaming services are absolute and also Facebook streaming services are going to explode even further than they are now. And I think that you're gonna like this actually this does connect into one of your stories as well. Um I forgot about that. What's yours? Yeah, so I think it's going to become even bigger, and I think you're going to find a lot of which goes stars that are currently becoming quite big, like explode into the levels of which goes maybe some movie star kind of levels of kind of notoriety and stuff like that. The only downside to the kind of to YouTube and Twitch and Facebook streaming kind of services is that they do have a lot more controversies in the mix, which is a bad problem because it is being right. Like in the last year, like two big houses within the online streaming kind of like groups have lost members to horrible controversies, and that makes it a little bit volatile in the sense,
Mm.
kind of thing. So, but I think that there's a few names that I can think of right now that could possibly like get to the level of which they
So,
could possibly move.
are you including? And I sorry, just a weird hand gesture there, like somebody that I don't like. If you follow politics, you'll know who that is. Are you including kind of content creators and streamers there, kind of in under the one umbrella? So like YouTubers, which we are, and then the Twitch streamers, etc. Because I know that is an area where people are starting to find talent across both of those pools. So yeah, I
I,
could see where you're
I
coming from on that.
I think content creators in the sense of YouTube kind of VOD things. I think it's like there's several people there's several people who have made it into like a more kind of like I guess celebrity esque or like movie star level of
Yeah,
things. I think
Liza
this is more
Koshy and
for
people
the
like that they've got TV deals essentially out of it. It's true.
yeah. So I think what I more mean is live gamer streamers kind of thing of the streamers kind of like Corpse Husband, which is currently like he's part of a quite big group.
Uh,
Um,
Twitch gaming, I'm assuming. Is he game
no,
streaming?
he's most yeah he's mostly on YouTube kind of gaming like live streaming and stuff like that, kind of thing. So like I think that's where it differs a little bit. As in their VODs are made from their live shows like our current format,
Yeah, well,
kind of thing. So
Jacksepticeye could well turn out to be an interviewer if he's not careful, because I've seen him interviewing famous people. So big shout out to Jack. Fair play for Irish guy making it so massive. Also seems like a thoroughly nice dude. I would love him on the show if he's listening. There you go. Anybody out there that knows him, there's always a spare seat. In fact, I'll get out of mine if we can have him in our thumbnail and get some clicks. Yeah, no. So
or Minx.
oh, sorry, who?
Or Minx, because she's another Irish female streamer as well.
Oh, okay.
See
See,
if we get those two Irish names out there.
there you go. The world of streaming and game streaming in particular, not one that I'm massively versed in, and that's why Paul is here to help me not miss a whole end of entertainment. But it's funny that you should mention that, because I think both of our final topics segue to each other. So I'll drift off that one, which is I had sent to Paul. It's funny that you went that direction and I went the other direction.
Yeah.
2021, my guess, Paul, as I put it to you, an A-list star will pivot from TV or film to become a successful podcaster slash tuber. So think of again. I have I did think about this stuff and I threw some images up. And when I say think, I did this all about 10 minutes before we went on air. You've got John Krasinski appearing in the wrong part of the screen. You've got Jack Black appearing in the wrong part of the screen. You've got Will Smith. You've got all sorts of people. But the reason I'm bringing them up is, oh my god, stuff has just. My images went in the wrong spot, so we're going back to our main screen. Excuse me. Think about what John Krasinski did with Some Good News, or Jack Black with Jablinski Games, or Jablinski Plays. Is it, or Games? I can't remember. He started his own YouTube. YouTube had kind of started collabing with Will Smith anyway. I think there's going to be a few fairly heavy-hitting stars that are maybe getting tired, particularly considering the illness that's going on, of either they're going to get creatively itchy and they're going to want to do something, or maybe they're going to realize that they like spending time at home since they've had to do it for the first time in a long time. And they're going to maybe say, I have enough money in the bank, I want to be creative. I watch a lot of these dumbasses like Patrick and Paul on YouTube. If anybody can do this, maybe I can. I'm predicting that somebody surprising will end up kind of making a play. And when I say making a play, all they have to do is do it. If they're famous enough, you've got an inbuilt following. Like if one of the two of us was Tom Cruise, it wouldn't matter who the co-host was. Tom Cruise brings his own audience. So my prediction is that we'll be surprised. Like Krasinski did that, made that brand and sold that brand off. I don't think that was his, it wasn't him doing something as a creative outlet for good, as in permanently. He was doing it for good, as in philanthropically. But yeah, I'm not gonna. I don't think it's gonna be Clint Eastwood getting into having his own YouTube channel, but John C. Reilly or somebody random could end up going, do you know what? I like being at home. I like spending time with my family. I'm going to convert a little studio, do some podcasting and video at home. Maybe write some scripts and give up this kind of acting and running around the world game.
Yeah, I definitely get your, yeah, because like I would say that it would be very much in the wheelhouse if I was to add on to your prediction a little bit.
Please do.
Like Seth Rogen and James Franco and that kind of group, like Jonah Hill and stuff. That kind of group, I could definitely see them jumping onto a kind of a podcast grouping kind of thing if they're not currently doing one, because that's also the problem with they might be doing a podcast, but they might not be doing a YouTube kind of podcast, like a vlog or something like that. I can definitely see them like that kind of thing. I would love to see Tom Cruise. I would love to see Tom Cruise do a podcast. I have no idea. I'd also like to see Keanu Reeves do one.
Oh, well, that's just because Keanu's cool. I think I would like to see Keanu Reeves do one just about motorcycles and stuff, and I'd watch him all the time. I'd watch him just talk about anything. I love the man's voice. But what would you call Tom Cruise's one? Would you call it like jumping the couch, or?
Oh, that is a good, like that couldn't. Was that off the?
That was off the top of my head. When you said I'd love to see Tom Cruise do it, my brain went. I went instantly to Tom Cruise in the mid-air on Oprah, going, yeah, it would be called jumping the couch.
That is tipping the hat. I have to say that
he could interview people where they sit on one side of the couch and he stands on the other side of it, looking at them.
Yeah, he's just like, welcome to Tom Cruise is jumping on the couch, and then jumps off on the couch.
That's it.
Brew is just saying like Bono playing Call of Duty. Don't think it's going to be that level of like kind of stuff. I think it's more just like Bill Burr's kind of podcast or which goes a couple like getting like Dinner for Five that Jon Favreau did for a lot of stuff. It will be more kind of like that, but maybe with a kind of thing. He also said Jack Black streams game playing. That's like
he called himself Jablinski Games or something like that, and it is Jack Black. He didn't use his name. He didn't need to. Within a day, he went from one follower to or one subscriber to 500,000. It was something crazy. Jack Black's a bit of a social media mogul, and he doesn't want to let on about it. He's really, really good at the game.
Yeah, I know, because if you've seen Jacksepticeye do interviews, have you seen that Jumanji one with him interviewing the Jack Black and
The Rock? No.
So he did Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart, but he also did who else
is Jumanji? Karen Gillan.
Karen Gillan and Jack Black together.
Oh, brilliant!
They were Jack Black knew Jacksepticeye quite. He was just like, oh yeah, I kind of know you stuff.
And
So
just so we both remember this, I'm going to say it live on air. I already did the SEO and the tags for this video. Can you remember to go in afterwards and delete at least one of them and write Jacksepticeye?
sure,
And I think we might
well,
actually just change the title of the video and like just try and get in on some of that Jacksepticeye clickbait. No, I did see Aussie Man interview the Jumanji cast, and they were hilariously nice. So I know that Jumanji was giving streamers and YouTubers access for interviews, which was great. And there's some of the more fun interviews. Don't get me wrong. Proper interview people are fine, or people who do that as their job. But I think it's always nice to get some of the likes of, I don't know, those lads from Hear Us Out to maybe interview Tom Cruise for Top Gun 2. We can pitch him an idea for his podcast that should be called
yeah.
Jumping the Couch.
I think just on that, I think it's because if it's your job, if your job is YouTubing, like streaming and everything like that, and then you do interviews, I think you're a lot more excited about you can see that the excitement and energy is there. Whereas if you're an interviewer, I think it's lost a little bit, kind of
Yeah,
thing.
it's yeah, it's really is that freshness of somebody who's getting to do something that they don't usually do.
Yeah.
Which is it's the
Uh,
way we feel anytime we do something good. It's like, wow, this feels different.
yeah. Like,
Do you want to hit me with
um,
your last one that is actually also linked to my last one then?
yeah, that's I didn't
Nope.
remember until so yeah, we're coming into Oscar territory now with the 2020 2021 Oscars
Yeah.
kind of thing. So it'll be an interesting and odd kind of celebration again. Since we did get it last year. It was very odd.
No, not
We
really,
didn't,
did
did
we?
we?
I can never even remember if they. No, it's the
I
carryover Oscars.
yes.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
going to be the carryover Oscars. So
So this
what's
is
your
gonna be the
prediction? Is it because what you wrote to me, and do you mind if I share it with people? It was
yeah.
like you
Oh
you
yeah.
predicted that the Oscars would be odd, and I think that's absolutely right. But I'm going to have to tie you down onto a little bit more oddness, or just something that I can we can beat each other over the head
I
with next January.
I get two things. I think that whatever host they choose this time, and if they do choose a host, I don't think there's going to be as much diving into the past as there has been in the past.
Yeah,
Um,
no one's getting Kevin
Simply
Hart
because
this time.
yeah, and I think that either the vetting for the host will be way better, or the fact is that people will just want the Oscars to happen so that they feel once again a little bit more normality again.
Yeah, I think
So
the
I think
Oscars will be happy if they manage to have an Oscars that isn't a
mm,
complete shambles.
yeah, yeah, I definitely think that.
Yeah, and I'm
So
gonna dive in on Paul's prediction and go. Not only are they going to be odd, I actually think the Oscars will be a disaster, which is funny because that's why I had picked my prediction, and I hadn't mentioned the Oscars to you at all, Paul. I picked the Golden Globes, and I actually think the Golden Globes will be a success. I think the Golden Globes will be a success for two reasons. They are the Oscars' funner, more fun cousin. And okay, weird aunt who lives in another country that is the SAG Awards. You're no Golden Globes. The Golden Globes are the fun Oscars in a lot of ways, and they do have no hosting problem. They have a great history of hosts, and the talk of Tina Fey and Amy Poehler doing it again. I think the Golden Globes will be one of those things. People are going to be dying for an old style award show that's fun and not cynical, or at least if it is cynical, can it be cynical in a Ricky Gervais kind of way, rather than the whole Kevin Hart Oscars and the fact that Oscars so white. The Oscars have not ever really pulled out of the nosedive they went into, and I think because people are dying for the Oscars to be great sometime again, I think the Golden Globes is going to step in and go, "We got you covered. We're a load of fun. Check it out. Tina and Amy have you got you covered. We'll keep you laughing." And I think it's going to be a huge success, whatever way they manage to pull it off. Which I have no idea what they're going to do yet.
I definitely agree that the Golden Globes is going to be the funner cousin to the Oscars. I think the only way that the Oscars could, because I think the only way the Oscars could be more fun is if they decide to go down the same route of like getting like Bill Burr or someone random to like someone that's not random, but someone out of kind of like, the far field that no one would expect to kind of like jump on board and stuff. Because like as a host, kind of thing. I also think that the reason it's not going to be as good is because the it's going to be the weird groupings of movies. And I think since we've had such a lack of movie
Yeah,
releases in 2020, I think there's going to be a lot more kind of like this is from 2019 kind
yeah.
of Oscar area kind of thing, but it's also gathered with movies that were released in early 2000 and like
it's
2020. So
it's going to require explanation as it goes, which is never good. It's like a joke. If you have
yeah,
to tell people how it works, then they'll be like, "No, this is less fun."
it,
Um, yeah,
it'll be like the first time that they have at the bottom of the film when they have the name, the year,
that's
kind of
true.
thing.
Actually, which of the many categories is this? Is it the 2019 or the 2020 or the 2021? I would say you just made me think of something, and I know we're winding up to get out. If I had to pick a weird and fun host for the Oscars, I'd go for Pedro Pascal, the Mandalorian himself, because I watched him do a Wired autocomplete interview. I think it was, or it was one of those Wired kind of YouTube
Oh yeah,
videos, and he was either really, really, really drunk or really well medicated, or just he's the funniest, most likable chap in the world. So I would love to see a big fun mess like himself host the Oscars, bring it all back down to the ground, level it all again. Hit reset on it. So Oscars, if you're
yeah,
listening, pick somebody like him. Don't go safe. If you're going to have a host, take a risk.
yeah,
Somebody who
yeah,
can who
definitely.
can be a bit of fun.
Yeah, definitely take a risk because yeah, I definitely think that the Golden Globes are always funner because they just their hosts are always like Neil Patrick Harris, like levels of kind of greatness. So
Yeah. And if the Oscars end up using, one of our suggestions, maybe it should be that Jacksepticeye hosts the Oscars. Because my God, if we can get in with I know now I'm going to just keep finding reasons to mention him.
us, we'll host the Oscars. We'll be the fun off like the field hosts for the Oscars.
I love your optimism, but considering that we can barely host this show, I think we should let Jacksepticeye host the Oscars, and he can just give all of his YouTube views and subscribers to us while he's off doing that, and we'll take good care of them. Speaking of which, I'm going to throw it over to the comments one last time. Pedro and Mark Hamill for the Oscars. Nora, that's the best suggestion ever. And maybe get Grogu Baby Yoda in for special appearances. Or on a stick to act as the microphone. That I didn't mean that as cruel as it came out, actually. I'm just checking, is there anything we missed? Agitate the analytics, a bit of an alteration. Well, actually, that's a good note to end on. You shouldn't tickle the analytics. No, no, no. You should succumb to the subscribe. You should lavish your love on the like. You should shimmy over to the share. And you should crap yourself all over the comments down below. Um, this has been our 2021 predictions. It's our first video of the year, hence why it's been messy but fun, we hope. Uh, God knows what else you're going to see coming from us. I just know it's going to be good stuff. You're going to love it. And if you have liked, shared, and subscribed, we thank you very much. But definitely get in there in the comments if you're watching this in the future. Tell us what you think we got wrong. Tell us what you think will be right. And yeah, keep watching us for the year to see what else we come up with.
Oh, do you want to? Sorry for jumping in. Do you want to have a look at There's a comment there,
Thank you.
which goes TV fads. I feel romantic. So this is from KittyCast 738. I'm gonna
Yeah.
who commented on our last video. What are your predictions for the next film or TV series fad? I feel romantic romp period dramas are going to have another upsurge. Bridges.
Bridgerton book series is way better than the show, by the way, which is good to know. I haven't watched the show yet, but I might read the books first. Yeah, I spotted that comment just before we went on air, so sorry about this, folks. Thank you, Paul, very much for grabbing it. So let's break them down. There's only like 2 or 3 things in here we can do really quickly. What are your predictions for the next film or TV series fad? I think they've picked a great one on that whole romantic kind of romp period drama stuff. And I think things like The Favourite and The Crown and all sorts of stuff have kind of been leading up towards people liking the period dramas again. Downton Abbey's been a few years ago. I can see that happening. I can see they might actually have nailed it. I don't know if I have a better answer.
Yeah, I can't think of. I think it is in the next. I guess in the next cycle. Like eventually we'll go back to zombies. I can see that happening in 20. I can see that happening in 2022.
Yeah,
Um,
it's going
being
to
the
be
return of
vampires after zombies, and then it'll be back to Game of Thrones
yeah,
style stuff. I actually think that there's going to be a big, not mockumentary, but a lot of there'll be a push or not a push. There'll be a prevalence of what you can make at home, lockdown style TV. I think there'll be a lot of that kind of reflection on what we've been through. I think that'll start cycling out by the end of this year. So there could be a not a found footage fad, but a filmed, yeah, not another Blair Witch kind of season. But I think there might be something along those lines, but I haven't quite noodled that one out yet.
yeah, yeah. I get your points. Quickly onto the sci-fi. Sci-fi becoming more popular. Definitely agree that the Mandalorian has opened the doors for that. John Favreau has absolutely opened the doors for even further Star Wars stories alone, and I think that several of the big kind of sci-fi stuff like Star Trek and stuff are going to probably look towards maybe getting a little bit more into the kind of simplified stories, because also with Picard on Amazon
Mm-hmm.
Prime, which is Amazon Prime, I think is going to be the home for the kind of like is going to be more of the home for the simplified kind of sci-fi stories because they've got the Expanse, which is just exploding even further now. Which is and I think Picard is going to become even bigger as well again if they do another series, and they'll pick something out of the hat of doing another sci-fi which is simply stories. And I think Star Wars has now kind of done a kind of good formula for it, kind of thing. So I definitely agree there that
Yeah.
sci-fi TV is probably on the way back.
And by the way, we have some brilliant commenters and to Kitty Cats 738. Big thank you because that's an awesome comment. I probably we should have got in at the start of the show rather than the end now that I realise. But I do want to call out the last line because they call out, I wonder what other films and TV series they will destroy with remakes. I want predictions for these two. You clearly have powers of foresight. Use them for evil. Do it. Well, what do you think will be destroyed by the remake? My prediction is that remakes and troving the past is actually going to start fading away for the next few years. I think we're at that point in the wave where they're going to stop trying to remake your MacGyvers or make your Charlie's Angels movies. I think they'll take a short break from that for a few years. We're going to see original story making a comeback.
E.T. or Gremlins. Maybe go for the big ones.
Yeah, had to do it. Well, we're getting Ghostbusters 3, so why not?
Yeah, I think ET or Gremlins will make a. I think that they will be in they will slightly be in the danger zone of
Do you know,
getting a remake.
we've gone long, so it doesn't matter at this stage if we spend another minute on this because, Paul, I know you're thinking. Everybody out there, watch this for a mind trick. Part of Paul's process there, I think, may have been, well, Mandalorian and Grogu and Baby Yoda have been a huge hit. They've also opened up huge merchandising avenues. Let's see, what could they remake that will have something small, something adorable, and something toy-like that you could have a new generation of people purchase by and fall in love with? It has to have a smaller head and bigger eyes proportionally, maybe a small body. What would that be in history? Let's see. There's Mac and Me. No, probably not making the comeback. E.T. E.T. might be a tough one. What's Yoda like? Yeah, Gizmo, Gremlins. Paul, did I get an anywhere close? Was this your card?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Merchandising was a big thought there.
You're a
Where the
genius, man.
fact is that you can't like. My other reasons is because ET is probably falling behind in the kind of like mind, like or the psyche of the current audience.
Yeah.
That you could probably do a because not only would it boost not only would it possibly boost a new group of merchandise and stuff like that, it might boost sales of the original film as well. Because people, once you announce it, people will go back and try get that film as much as possible to
Yeah.
try see what it. Because people who haven't seen it before will definitely want to compare it and stuff like that. So, and then Gremlins, I think it's a cult classic, small enough toys and stuff like that. I think it's definitely in the danger zone of possible remake kind of stuff.
Hate to say it, everybody. That man is right. So to answer your question, Kitty Cat 738, yeah, what are the things will they destroy with remakes? Because I would say if you remake either ET or Gremlins, you are certainly going to destroy them. Although I vaguely remember that somebody still has the rights to Gremlins. One of the writers or director or somebody has a little bit of control and says not while they're alive. So if they're still alive, then maybe ET gets it. If they've passed since they made that statement, then it may be both of these things.
Yeah, but enough money can change a lot of people's minds.
That's true. I will.
So
I'll change my name to Baby Yoda if you give me enough money. In fact, I think I could carry it off. You should see the ears under these headphones. Paul, would you like to cover anything before we leave?
no, that's it. I'm done. Sorry for probably
No,
grabbing that end part and making it go a little bit longer than we wanted
no,
to.
no, no.
So
That was perfect. Cheers, gent, says Brew. Someone stop him, which must be me. A popular new animated series. Okay, I'm not sure what we were saying just as that was said because we were on a delay. So, everybody who joined us, thank you very much. Brew, you can tell us next week what that comment that we misunderstood was. If you've liked, like, subscribe, we've done all that. So nothing left to be said, but welcome to 2021. I've been Patrick.
and I've been Paul.
We've been here aside.
Thanks. Bye.
I have to hit the stop button. You've forgotten all this.
This is
You
where
know,
I go.
take a couple of weeks off. Next thing you know, you forget where this button is.